Or were there? The lights dimmed as the great glowing orb and a shining silver sphere drifted from on high to land side by side at the entrance. Celestia looked as she always had, perhaps a little more tired and wan, but glorious as ever. Beside her, looking young and vibrant and confident, stood Luna, and side by side the princesses walked through a procession, struck dumb with adoration. There was Rarity at her finest, then there was this. Together they moved with utmost dignity as every pony in attendance bowed before them, not out of fear, but out of love and respect. They were Celestia and Luna. There was no other like them in the world. When they mounted the dais, Celestia gave a formal bow to her sister and then moved to the far right of the stage. Clearly this was Luna's show, and Celestia refused to upstage it. Twilight Sparkles stood on Luna's right, giving concerned looks at the former monarch. Goldenblood looked as if he was struggling to stand, supported by Fluttershy at his side. I was no expert, but it didn't look like an act. Luna gave him one concerned glance, and then looked across the gathered masses of Equestria's finest. She took a slow, deep breath, and then she spoke. It wasn't in some blasting clarion, but with a strange projection, as if she was talking to me, and me alone. Ponies of Equestria, for 12 long years we have struggled, we have sacrificed, we have toiled against an enemy without reason or remorse. And, despite our pains and hardships, we have risen to these challenges with determination and vigor that would make the stars themselves tremble in awe. As she spoke, the volume slowly rose, as if the castle itself were speaking to us. Regardless of the troubles we have faced on these long and uncertain rights, today we take comfort in our traditions and celebrate our dignity, our unity, and our strength. Therefore, it is with humility and thanks to your princess that I welcome you to this most gracious of nights, and declares that the grand galloping gala commence. And with that word, it felt as if Equestria itself was giving the speech, and the crowd broke into cheers. With a gleeful squeal, Pinkie Pie rushed to a blue pole dangling nearby. A gong resounded, and suddenly velvet drapes were yanked up to reveal dozens of clowns, acrobats, jugglers, tumblers, and singers. A cascade of fireworks exploded outside with such energy that, for a moment, it seemed like day had returned. Streamers descended like rain, and a cloud of countless balloons rose from cleverly hidden boxes around the throne room. The stunned Aristoponies suddenly found themselves swept up in a party 2 short steps removed from a riot. Jetstream, Palms, and Echo made their way down the stairs, up to the dais where the princesses, the ministry mayors, and the other marauders were meeting, with a few other select individuals. "A bit much, wouldn't you say, Pinkie Pie?" Rarity observed as a pie-juggling pony in a loud checkered suit rolled on by atop a large ball. "What do you mean? I just made the gala what it should have been. Ponies playing, ponies dancing." She fluttered her eyes at the unicorn with a cheeky grin. "Would you rather be like the first time?" Rarity took one look at Blue Blood, watching sullenly, and shuddered. "I'd rather not." "Excellent speech, sister. I am glad you modified the traditional Canterlot voice," Celestia said with a fond smile. "I never found much use for it." "You used it for 263 years, Goldenblood rasped, setting his eyes closed while Fluttershy held a hoof to his brow. "You should be in bed. You're still not well." The yellow mare fussed softly. "Oh, I should last another hour or so," he said as he looked at Rarity. "Wouldn't you say?" "Well, it would get their attention elsewhere," Rarity said with a worried frown. "But only if you're sure." "I'd hate to cause a spectacle," he rasped, coughing into a handkerchief. Fluttershy pulled out a healing potion from the dress. Apparently, the similarity to a nurse's uniform didn't end with a style. For just a few seconds, he was the focus of a great number of ponies as he drank the restorative draught. The Ministry Mayor and the Ministry of Peace dressed as a nurse and giving aid to a member of the aristocracy. Vanity said softly from beside Jetstream. Very well done, nephew. The look Rarity was giving Goldenblood was far less admiring. In fact, it looked like a faint expression of unease. You're not staying, Princess? Twilight Sparkle asked as Celestia turned away, walking towards an exit behind the throne. The rainbow-maned Alicorn looked back at Twilight, and shook her head with a sad little smile. No, I'm afraid my heart isn't in celebrations. Besides, she said with a touch coolly, glancing at Goldenblood coughing pink and red flecks into the handkerchief. I wouldn't want to detract from my sister. Goldenblood gave a mirthless smile as he looked up at Celestia, before clenching his eyes in another fit of soft coughing. He looked almost ashamed. Celestia extended a hoof to Luna's shoulder and said, as if sending her off to battle, Good luck, Luna. Stay strong. The gala has broken many great and powerful ponies before. I think I can handle some aristoponies at a party, sister, Luna said, as if a touch insulted at the implication that she couldn't. You'd be surprised at how they can push you if you're not careful, Celestia warned as she looked at the crowds. Oh, like the 131st gala, where you transformed half the attendees into frogs and the other half into pigs? Twilight offered with a kind smile. At her friend's look, she flushed. I was curious whether our experience really was the worst gala ever. Celestia shuddered. Yes, exactly like that one. I don't think any pony looked me in the eye for 2 years after that. With that, the princess gave Twilight a parting nod and smile, and walked quietly towards the exit. I suppose we should mingle and chat up with folks, huh? Applejack said, looking as if she'd rather chew tacks than waste time talking with these snobby ponies. Pinkie Pie bounced around with a crowd of performers, giggling wildly. No, silly. We should have fun, she said with a squeal. Fun was certainly a relative term. I'd been known to get a little crazy from time to time, but never on the scale that Pinkie Pie operated on. I wondered if, in the time since founding her ministry, she'd opened up a school for clowning specifically to have the number of performers needed for the gala. They were everywhere, and the aristocrats seemed stunned, unable to figure out what the proper actions were. No pony would dare leave the princess in attendance. The ministry mares and their escorts started to break up into clumps and mix in with the chaos. Jetstream was left with Echo, the pair having the dubious distinction of being the least interested ponies to talk to. Other than Doof, who saw the buffet and never looked back. I'm telling you, they're a bunch of lying, cheating, no-good snakes, the whole lot of them, Applejack complained bitterly to a knot of aristocrats, and one mime doing her best to imitate Applejack's scornful looks and motions behind her back, as we passed. They'll take whatever you give them, and then they'll sell it for twice the cost that it cost them in the first place. Rarity coughed delicately, commenting, Applejack, I think that's what we call profit margins? Behind the orange mare, Applesnack grabbed the mime in a hoof lock. Really? It's what I'm calling profiteering, and greedy shenanigans. I'm trying to keep 'em honest by putting some kin in charge and seeing if things straighten out. I got no complaints if they make a bid or two, but they ain't gonna get away with what they'd been doing before, Applejack said with a firm stomp that coincided perfectly with Applesnack punting the mime clear of the crowd. Well, surely there must be some you can work with. You're putting Brayburn in charge of Ironshot Firearms, Rarity said with clear concern. Applejack gave a sheepish smile. Rarity? I'm not sure you noticed, but Brayburn's got a few tumbleweeds in his acre. The white unicorn nodded thoughtfully. Yes. He does seem a bit distracted at times. And his family. The rest of them, Hippocampus, Flash, Boom. I walk into a room and it's like they're just nodding and waiting for me to leave so they continue their shenanigans. I feel like I'm full sitting. I wish I could make some recommendations, but I'm afraid that my contacts are limited to my own ministry. Rarity gave Applejack a sympathetic smile. Oh, Goldenblood suggested a few business ponies, but I can't tell them from the snakes. Rarity looked decidedly unhappy at the mention of the sickly pony as Applejack went on. Horse is the only one I've met who doesn't seem to give a damn how many bits he can pull out of this war. Cares more about his gadgets than making money. But Golden told me I should keep clear of him. Be careful of him. Well, as useful as Golden Blood might be, I don't need him to tell me how to run my business, Rarity declared firmly. Oh, he's meddling an image, too. Rarity opened her mouth and balked. No, he really isn't. He's not telling me things that I wouldn't have done myself. Her lips pressed together as she looked across the room towards Fluttershy. But I still don't like him. But whatever he was fell out of earshot as Jetstream strolled away. Normally, I'd have been fascinated, but right now, all I could do was wonder if my friends were alive. I knew better than to hope that they were okay. Jetstream wandered through the crowd, clearly looking for the gray Pegasus. Pinkie Pie was dancing on the piano in one room, grinning with an expression of have fun or else. I was just wondering if I could ask you something about Miss Maripony, Big Macintosh said in his low, confident voice. He was standing with Twilight Sparkle in an alcove off to the side, and Jetstream peeked a little closer, her ears twitching. I'd be curious, too, if I wasn't thinking about Lacuna following me around like a broken doll. When was this stupid memory going to end? Who? Twilight Sparkle blinked in confusion. Maripony? Twilight Sparkle suddenly started. Oh, yes, Maripony. She laughed awkwardly. I get her confused. You know, with the splendid valley site. That happens all the time, she said with an embarrassed smile. Well, I was wondering, has she mentioned me at all? I mean, does she talk about me? Big Macintosh looked so uncertain and concerned that it was quite touching. Twilight blinked and then smiled. Well, yes, I suppose she does, now that I think about it. She wishes she could get away from the ministry more to see you. Everything's so crazy. Huh, really? Big Macintosh looked baffled and even a little worried. Did I say something wrong? Twilight asked in concern. The large red pony sighed. It's just, she's so much smarter than me. I don't understand why she likes me to be around. She's such a clever, nice little mare. I don't see what she sees in a pony like me. Twilight blinked and then smiled a little. Oh, don't worry about that. Really. She sighed as she looked at her polished hooves. At the ministry, everything is crazy. I mean, you throw so many eggheads into one room, and there's so many ideas flying around that by the end of the day, you feel fried. A pony like you who's... She trailed off, and he smiled down at her as she fished for a word. Simple, Big Macintosh offered, and she blushed. Easy going, Twilight countered with a smile. It lets a pony like her unwind and relax from all the pressures we deal with at the ministries. Twilight sighed as she looked back into the crowd. Trust me, being smart isn't a guarantee for being happy. Then she returned her gaze to him with a smile. And you make her happy. Big Macintosh's mood quite obviously improved as his casual smile returned. Well, thank you, Twilight. I hope you'll tell her I look forward to seeing her again. I was thinking on taking her to a hoofball game with some of the other Marauders. Hoofball? Twilight Sparkle blinked in confusion and a little unease. Well, I don't think she's ever been to a hoofball game. The purple mare rubbed her chin thoughtfully. Sure, it'd probably be fun. Yep. He agreed with a nod. Then I'll be sure to ask her. Thanks, Twilight. Twilight Sparkle seemed to start, slumping a little. Oh, yeah, sure, no problem. Normally, I would have been interested in the pair and curious about the implications, but at the moment I was simply wondering if I'd been trapped in this memory orb for hours. Days? How long could a memory orb last? It wasn't a bad memory. In fact, compared to many memories I'd experienced, I had normally enjoyed the party and the obvious fun. Pinkie Pie had taken the stuffed Aristoponies and forced all their gaudy, glittery glala games into their dreary, dignified lives. Clearly, this was not what they were used to, but no one dared to complain with the princess doubling her fun.